everyone. Welcome. My name is Jeff Santos. I'll be your moderator for the night. You might know of Boston's Progressive Talk, AM 1200 and 1430. I have a show there Sundays 2 to 5, if you care to listen. This is a night with Greg Palast, great hero, somebody who's out there fighting to tell the truth, which is something you don't get in everyday mainstream media. We want to thank the sponsors of this event, the Election Defense Alliance, the Alliance for Democracy. It's going to be a fun night, folks. Many of you have had a chance to read his book, Armed Madhouse, and if you haven't, I'll get it right here. If anybody can see this. Well, let's just say it this way. Katherine Harris, everybody know who she is, Secretary of State, Florida? Okay. This is a great audience here. Catherine calls Greg Palast twisted and maniacal. That's complimentary words from my definition. But Martin Luther King Jr. III calls him courageous and an American hero. And I'll agree with that. Noam Chomsky says Greg Palast upsets all the right people. Asia Times says this about Greg Palast: the top investigative journalist in the United States of America is persona non grata in his own country's media. Wow. Greg Palast is the author of the newly released New York Times bestseller Armed Madhouse, which he will sign here today. And finally, the Baltimore Chronicle says this about Palast: no one has uncovered more about the Bush dynasty than Greg Palast, and live to write about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Palast.
All right.
Big up.
I thought I would mention, that there are cranks and kooks and conspiracy nuts out there who think on the internet, who thought that John Kerry won the last election. In fact, there was an article called Kerry Won. I know I wrote it. And after I wrote it, which was based on of course it was already by this time the 5th year of my investigation of elections in America for BBC television and the Guardian papers of Britain. And it was November of 2004, and I got a call from the paper of record, the New York Times, owner of the Globe, of course. The New York Times Washington Bureau called me and said, we want to investigate the claims that George Bush lost the election of 2004. And I said, well, great, I have all these files. I have no problem, sharing this info. He said, no, actually, we have a couple questions. Question 1, are you a sore loser? Question 2, are you a conspiracy nut? When I'm on US TV, I was just on Fox last week, it's called A Conspiracy Nut. Actually, on National Petroleum Radio, I was just asked, one of the rare times I was allowed on, the host said, you have a lot of really interesting information among the unprovable conspiracy theories. So that line that I'm a conspiracy nut always gets a laugh from the conspirators. Question 3 from the Times. Well, there was no question 3. Okay, so they ran a story the next day. I kid you not. front page, headline, Internet theories of Bush loss spread by blogs. Easily debunked. That was the end of the Times investigation. So I thought I would give you some of the information, just a little bit, tonight, and other information. I thought I'd begin with a test. See, these are CNN's balls, if you're familiar, from election night, about 1 a.m. after the polls closed in Ohio. And this is the Edison poll used by every network, which gives no total figures. They have to break down by gender by their contract. And it says under males, it says that Kerry won among men 51% to 49%. But among women, Bush lost 47 to 53%. Okay, class. What's the third sex that put George Bush over the top? The answer is the uncounted, okay? The uncounted. In Ohio, 133,212 ballots cast, and never counted. Okay. Altogether, voters blocked, voters prevented from voting, etc. 1/3 of a million. Swamping the Bush apparent victory. And we look at Ohio, and in 2000 we looked at Florida. So it was Florida, and Kate Harris, and Ohio, Ken Blackwell, though I think actually his real name is Whitesick, but it's not Florida, and it's not Ohio. In the United States of America, in 2004, November, 3,600,380 ballots were cast and never counted. Cast, never counted. 3,600,380. Now, this, in case there is someone from the paper record here, did not come from, my black helicopter. No. This comes from the U.S. Election Information Agency. If you go into their raw data, and that's one thing we do at BBC. We go into the raw data. And that's, I should tell the reporters from the Times who are asking me the questions, if you want to investigate, rule number 1 of investigative reporting. I'm an investigative reporter, which actually you don't do in the U.S. because it's against Patriot Act 3. But rule number 1 of investigative reporting, stated by that great journalist Yogi Berra, is it's amazing what you can see when you look. Okay, 3,600,380 ballots cast, not counted. So what? If it's, because glitches, what? About half that total is spoiled votes. Now, how do votes spoil? They leave them out of the fridge? No. It's glitches, Hanging chads. That was actually, we thought we were rid of those, but there were more hanging chads in Ohio than in Florida. Okay? Punch cards that just didn't punch through. That's leaving a hanging chad. Okay? Meaning a vote not counted. Touch screen machines that just feel you don't know how to touch them anymore. Paper ballots that just supposedly unreadable. It glitches. Glitches. Is that for me? Glitches. It's like, well, You know, so big deal. So a few percent of the vote, 3 million votes out of nearly 100.